Welcome to Shatter.
Support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I promise even more interesting stories. You ever notice how some things don't break with noise? They break with a shift in air, like a window that's barely open, just enough to let the cold in. You don't see it at first, but one day, you feel it. That's how it started with Eliza. We were sitting across from each other at the dinner table. Same seats, same soup, same practiced routine. She stirred her spoon in circles, eyes locked on her phone. I asked how her day went. She said, "Fine. Same as always." Her voice didn't match the words, too flat, too distant. I tried to break the fog. Told her I was thinking about that mountain cabin we used to love. The one with the pine trees and no signal. Her eyes blinked like I'd spoken another language. Then she said, "That's nice, Michael." My name is not Michael. She didn't even catch the slip. Kept scrolling, like the sentence didn't matter. But it did. It rang louder than any scream. I didn't correct her. I just sat back and let the silence breathe. That's when I knew the decay wasn't new. I just stopped pretending I couldn't smell it. The next morning, while she was in the shower, I opened her car. She'd left the keys on the kitchen island. No notes. No lipstick on receipts. Nothing cliché. Eliza was smarter than that. But I had something smarter. An old dash cam from a work vehicle. It synced automatically to a private cloud the moment the car started. Took 5 minutes to install under the dashboard. When she came down later, distracted and polished, I offered to warm up the car. She smiled, handed me the keys, and never looked back. That was her mistake. The next few days were routine. Groceries. Emails. A joke about forgetting laundry detergent. She told me she had a late client meeting on Thursday. I nodded. Said I'd order pizza. She kissed my cheek like a stranger in a movie scene she didn't believe in. That night, I waited until she was asleep. Logged into the app. Each file had a timestamp and preview. I clicked Thursday. The first thing I heard wasn't her voice. It was laughter. Her laughter, but not the version I knew. This one was warm. Open. Real. She said, "Did you miss me today?" A man's voice answered, "Every minute." "But you already knew that." They talked about a bar they liked. A conference nobody planned to attend. Then he said, "Michael wants to see you again soon, but it's risky." Michael. That's who she thought of when she looked at me across the table. That's who she saw in the cabin we once loved. I didn't slam the laptop shut. Didn't clench my fists. I just listened. More clips. More secrets. The same voice. The same backseat. Every smile she gave me during the day, I could trace it back to the energy she got from him. She wasn't with me anymore. She was orbiting her own little planet where I was just part of the furniture. But I wasn't angry. I was awake. And when a man wakes up from a lie he helped keep alive, he doesn't scream. He strategizes. I waited. Patiently. Not for revenge. For precision. She got a dinner invitation. From Matt and Jenna. Old friends. She insisted we go. Said we'd been too isolated. I said yes. But I wasn't going to that dinner to smile. I was going to end something. Quietly. Irrevocably. By Saturday, everything was ready. She had no idea. That morning, Eliza floated around the house like nothing had changed. Hair curled. Soft sweater. That effortless image she'd spent years curating. She hummed as she poured coffee. I pretended not to notice how her phone never left the kitchen counter, screen always face down, vibrating twice, then falling silent. The same pattern I'd seen in the recordings. 2 vibrations. A pause. Then she'd check it when I wasn't looking. Only now, I was always looking. I offered to drive us to the dinner party. She agreed, but not before checking herself twice in the mirror, adjusting her earrings, smoothing invisible wrinkles, like she was preparing for someone else's eyes. We arrived at Matt and Jenna's place right on time. A warm house perched on a quiet hill. Glass walls, soft lights, soft people. Eliza loved that kind of space, clean and curated, with just enough elegance to make others feel underdressed. As soon as we walked in, I felt her detach. She slipped into the room like a guest star returning for a season finale. Hugging friends. Laughing with that lightness I hadn't heard in months. Her fingers brushed mine once, a placeholder gesture, and then she was gone. Merging into conversations I wasn't invited to. I took a drink I wouldn't finish. Nodded at familiar faces. Found a corner where I could watch without being seen. Then I saw him. Ryan. Average build. Too confident. The kind of man who thought charisma could hide bad intentions. He laughed too hard at Jenna's story. Wore an open collar like he wasn't trying too hard. But he was. I recognized the way his eyes lingered on Eliza when she approached. Not lust. Ownership. She touched his wrist. Not a full touch. Just a ghost of one. The kind that says, I'm here. I see you. And he smiled like that was enough. The room moved on like a theater set. Wine poured. Music hummed low. People rotated in and out of the kitchen like clockwork. But I wasn't moving. I was measuring. Measuring how far she'd fallen. At dinner, she saved me a seat, directly across from her and Ryan. So we can all talk, she said with a smile too polished. I took the seat. Said nothing. The meal started light. Vacations. Traffic. Jenna teased Matt about his terrible sense of direction. I laughed when expected. I didn't taste the food. Then Matt turned to Ryan. So, anyone special in your life? Ryan didn't miss a beat. I've learned to appreciate what isn't mine. Someone chuckled. Confused. Eliza looked down, fiddling with her napkin. Then Ryan raised his glass. Looked straight at me. His voice dropped just enough. She prefers me. It landed like glass on concrete. No one reacted. Yet, I didn't blink. I just said, enjoy her. 2 words. Calm. I didn't even raise my voice. That was when the room shifted. Eliza froze. Her eyes snapped to mine like she'd seen a ghost. The chatter dipped. Forks paused mid-air. Someone coughed. Awkward. Loud. She tried to laugh. That's not funny, she said, voice cracking. But no one was laughing. I stood up. Slow. Calm. Walked to the sideboard where Jenna kept the media console. From my jacket, I pulled a small flash drive. Plugged it into the USB port like it was just another dinner playlist. Eliza's voice shook. What are you doing? I didn't answer. The screen flickered. Dark car interior. Dashcam footage. Ryan's voice came through first. You always drive me crazy when you wear that red blouse. A pause. Then hers. That's why I wore it. The room went silent. Forks lowered. Wine glasses stopped mid-sip. Jenna moved to grab the remote. Too late. The second clip started. Same car. Same voices. Same betrayal. And then, a sharp intake of breath from the far end of the table. Ryan's wife. She'd arrived quietly. No one noticed. Until now. Her voice was quiet but lethal. That's my husband. Eliza froze. Ryan looked up like a man waking from a dream into a nightmare. And then, the slap. It echoed. Eliza staggered. The room didn't move. Ryan's wife walked out without another word. And Ryan chased her like a man who just realized he bet on the wrong disaster. I turned off the TV. Looked at my wife. She didn't speak. Because there was nothing left to say. The moment Ryan's wife left, the entire room shifted. Not with noise, with stillness. Like the air itself had stopped circulating. Eliza sat frozen. Her fingers gripped the edge of her napkin, white-knuckled. Her lips parted, but no sound followed. She looked around like the room had betrayed her, like this wasn't how her night was supposed to go. It wasn't supposed to end with a slap. Not in front of Matt. Not in Jenna's house. Not like this. But this wasn't the end. This was just the part where the lights came on and everyone saw the stains on her dress. Jenna stepped away from the table first. Her chair scraped gently against the hardwood. Her voice didn't rise, didn't tremble. Eliza, she said, is this real? No answer. Just a hollow look. Like she was still searching for the right script, but all the pages were blank. That's when Melanie, one of her closest friends, the kind who knew every story, every spin, stood. She didn't say anything. Didn't make a scene. She just gave Eliza one long look and walked into the kitchen, wine glass in hand. Like she'd seen enough. Craig, a mutual friend who introduced us years ago, mumbled something almost to himself. How long has this been going on? No one answered. Because the silence was louder than truth. Then footsteps. Not from the guests. From the hallway. 2 more figures stepped into the room. Her parents. They hadn't announced their arrival. They'd been in the living room, watching it all unfold from the shadows. Her mother crossed her arms. Lips tight. Her father, the man who rarely spoke unless it mattered, stepped forward. His voice was low, controlled, dangerous in its quiet. I warned you. Eliza blinked. Dada. He raised a hand. I told you. If you ever let your arrogance outweigh your character, you'd lose everything worth keeping. Her mouth opened. Closed. Her mother didn't soften. She stepped forward with a cold calm. You embarrassed us, she said. You humiliated him. And more than that, you destroyed yourself. Eliza's voice cracked. Please don't do this here. Here, her mother replied, is exactly where this needed to happen. And then they walked out. No drama. No yelling. Just quiet, irreversible exit. That's when she finally looked at me. Really looked. And for the first time all night, I didn't see anger or denial. I saw fear. Because she finally understood. This wasn't a rupture. It was an erasure. I turned to Jenna. "Thank you for dinner," I said. "Apologies for the disruption." She nodded, slowly. "No apologies needed." At the door, I paused, reached into my coat, pulled out a thin envelope, set it beside Eliza's untouched wine glass. "These are the divorce papers," I said. "Already filed. Details inside. Please don't call me." Her lips moved, trying to form words. But they never arrived. Because there was nothing left to negotiate. This wasn't a breakup. It was a burial. I walked out, past the stunned guests, past the open front gate. Ryan was in the driveway, pacing, arguing with someone on the phone, maybe his wife, maybe no one. He saw me, tried to speak. I didn't stop, didn't flinch, just kept walking. He wasn't my problem anymore. Behind me, the house buzzed with low whispers and unraveling lives. And inside that house, she sat alone, in the center of a narrative she'd built for admiration, now collapsing under its own weight. The woman who once obsessed over being seen was now visible in the worst possible light. The morning after the dinner party, my phone lit up like a switchboard. Missed calls, texts, emails, Jenna, Craig, even my accountant. I didn't answer any of them. Not because I didn't care, because I'd already closed that chapter. The grief? It wasn't fresh. It had calcified months ago, every time I heard her laugh at her phone or saw her eyes glaze over when I spoke. Now, there was only execution. What did surprise me was her silence. No texts, no calls, nothing. Not even a message pretending it was all a misunderstanding. She wasn't regrouping. She was unraveling. By noon, Jenna got through. Her voice was soft. "Careful. I don't even know what to say." "You don't have to. You looked so calm last night," she said. "Like you were waiting for it." I was. There was a pause. "She's been coming here every weekend," Jenna admitted. "Yoga, brunch, small talk. Laughing like everything was perfect." I didn't answer. Because that version of her, the curated one, had never been real. That afternoon, I started packing the last of my things from the guest house. Quiet. Intentional. Then I heard the knock. I didn't need to check. I already knew. Eliza stood on the other side. Pale. Hollow. A shell of her curated self. She didn't speak right away. Then, almost in a whisper, she said, "I don't even know where to begin." "Then maybe you shouldn't," I replied. She flinched. Asked for 5 minutes. I let her in. Not for closure. For clarity. She walked in like a stranger, scanning the furniture like it used to recognize her. "I never meant for it to get this far," she said. "No. That's just what people say when they want to feel better about wreckage they caused." Her voice trembled. "He meant nothing." I didn't react. Because if he meant nothing, what did that make me? She sat finally. Shoulders collapsed. "I was angry. At you. At us. I never stopped seeing you," I said. "I just stopped chasing a version of you that didn't want to exist anymore." She looked up sharply. "So that's it. You're really going through with it." I nodded toward the envelope. "You already signed the papers. You just didn't know what they meant yet." She began to cry. "Everyone's turned on me. Even my mother. They saw you. Maybe for the first time." Then came the question I'd expected. "Can I come back?" I stared at her. "You're asking that now?" She nodded slowly. "I don't have anywhere else." "You had everywhere," I said. "And you threw it away." I walked to the door. Opened it. She hesitated. "Do you hate me?" "No," I said. "But I don't care enough to anymore." She left. And I didn't feel a thing. That night, her father called. The message was brief. "You did the right thing. I should have seen it sooner. We're sorry you had to go through it like that." I didn't reply. Because his words weren't for me. They were for the man he wished his daughter hadn't destroyed. 3 months passed. Time didn't heal, it replaced. I moved into a modest apartment across the river. 1 bedroom. Exposed brick. Real light. Nothing to hide. The silence that once suffocated me became a luxury. No more half smiles across a dinner table. No more scrolling phones. No more pretending. Just coffee brewed the way I like it. Shoes where I left them. Space that didn't judge me. I never blocked her number. Not out of sentiment. Out of indifference. She texted once. "Can we talk?" No punctuation. Just emptiness. I didn't reply. Answering would have meant there was still something to resolve. And there wasn't. That night, Jenna called. Said people were still talking about that dinner. Still playing back the footage in their heads. "She's trying to rewrite it," Jenna said. "She says you ambushed her." I didn't laugh, just said, "That's what liars do when they run out of people to lie to." Weeks later, I heard she'd moved in with her sister. Not by choice, by necessity. The kind of necessity that comes when your world stops making room for your version of the truth. Her job? Strained. Tyler? Gone. Disappeared without explanation. She became a ghost at events she used to host. A warning more than a presence. Once, I spotted her across a crosswalk. She didn't see me, but I watched her hesitate, look around like someone who expected to be seen and wasn't. That was the worst part for her. Not the fallout, not the shame, the invisibility. She lived her life performing. Now there was no audience left. One night, I came home to find a letter slipped under my door. No envelope, no signature, just shaky handwriting and 5 words. "I'm sorry. Let's talk. Please." I didn't open it. I didn't tear it up. I burned it. The flames didn't warm me. They didn't heal anything. But they confirmed what I already knew. She wanted to be forgiven. I wanted to be free. And we were never going to get both. The strange thing about implosions is how quiet they are at first. You expect noise, screaming, impact. But it starts with silence. A silence that spreads. That's how it began with her. People didn't confront her. They distanced themselves. Invitations slowed. Replies dried up. Even the ones who swore they'd always be neutral found other places to be. She posted a photo of us on social media. One from years ago. Captioned, "Miss this." She tagged no one. But she wanted me to see it. I didn't react. Silence was my response now. Claire, one of her loudest supporters, removed her from a group chat. No explanation. Just subtraction. Others followed. Not out of hate, but fatigue. Eventually, I heard through Jenna that Eliza had started seeing a therapist. Claimed she was working on herself. I didn't care. Because when someone starts fixing themselves only after they've broken you, it's not growth. It's guilt. And guilt isn't my problem. She showed up once outside my apartment. I didn't open the door. Just watched her through the peephole. She stood there for 12 minutes. No movement. No knock. Just waiting. Like I owed her another chance to perform regret. She left a note. Another apology. Another request. This time, I didn't burn it. I shredded it. Slowly. Piece by piece. Without reading past the first line. Her sister moved out too. Some quiet rift that no one acknowledged. I didn't ask questions. I didn't need to. Whatever Eliza was losing now wasn't being taken. It was leaving on its own. That's what happens when the truth gets out. It doesn't shout. It drains. Quietly. Completely. Meanwhile, I stopped checking her pages. Stopped caring who she was trying to become now. Because whatever version she built next would be based on denial. And I don't mourn illusions. I rebuild in silence. Because silence doesn't beg. It doesn't explain. It simply disappears and watches everything that depended on its attention begin to crack. I heard she started asking mutual friends how I was doing. Not directly. Not with real concern. It was curiosity. She wasn't mourning the man. She was mourning the relevance. Because once you stop being someone's center, their world starts to shrink. She didn't expect that. Eliza had built a life around control. Subtle. Social. Emotional. Now, control was a memory. She still lived in our old apartment. I'd left it in the split, not out of defeat, but strategy. She thought she'd won that battle. She didn't realize it came with the weight of memory. I had air. New walls. No ghosts in my hallway. She had a mirror that reflected nothing back. One of her coworkers ran into me downtown. We exchanged polite nods. He hesitated before saying she's not the same. I said nothing. Because I wasn't interested in her evolution. She was starting to unravel. Not because I left, but because I didn't come back. That was the part she never anticipated. She thought I'd disappear temporarily. Reset. Then return with questions. But I wasn't returning. I wasn't watching. She posted again. Something vague. A photo of a sunrise. Captioned, "New beginnings." But you can't restart something that never ended. You can only live inside its echo. She deleted the post an hour later. Because no one responded. Her therapist recommended a break from social media. I only know because Jenna mentioned it in passing. Not as gossip. As warning. She's rewriting everything, Jenna said. Trying to make herself the victim. But I didn't need to defend myself. The truth had done the work already. People stopped asking what happened. Because they already knew. Not from me. From her silence. From the way she started avoiding places we used to go. From the tension in her voice when someone mentioned my name. One night, I saw her sitting alone on a park bench, head down, motionless. I walked past without a glance, because I wasn't part of her world anymore. And the most painful thing for someone like her wasn't betrayal. It was irrelevance. Closure. That's what she wanted next. It always comes after silence. After the panic settles into a low hum of uncertainty. She emailed me, not with anger, not even apology, just a quiet request. She said she didn't need answers, only understanding. But I knew what she really meant. She wanted to be released from the weight of what she'd done, without paying for it. Closure, for people like her, is never about truth. It's about control disguised as healing. I didn't respond, because she had already been answered, with absence. That was the language she never learned to speak. Weeks passed. She showed up at my building again. This time, she brought a book I once lent her. Left it with the doorman. Said it belonged to me. It didn't. It was a symbol, a peace offering wrapped in nostalgia. I gave it to the building's library. Some things don't need to return home. They just need to disappear. That weekend, I drove to the cabin, the one she used to hate. No self-service, no curated playlists, just silence and wood and cold. I sat on the deck with a mug of black coffee and listened, not to memories, to the absence of them, because she didn't live in this space anymore. Her energy didn't reach here. That's when I knew it wasn't healing. It was evolution. Healing suggests something broke and then mended. But I wasn't mended. I was different, sharper, simpler, free. She messaged Jenna again. Said she felt ghosted. Said it was cruel. But I hadn't ghosted her. Ghosting implies emotional manipulation. This wasn't that. This was finality. Clean. Unapologetic. She didn't lose me to another person. She lost me to clarity. She lost me to the realization that loyalty has limits. And mine had been reached. That month she thought would be an experiment became her exile. She played with possibilities. She didn't think they'd play back. And now, she wanted to be acknowledged. But silence doesn't hand out acknowledgments. It just closes the book and walks away. By the time fall arrived, she had vanished from most circles. Not because people turned on her, but because they stopped looking for her. Relevance fades faster when it's built on perception. I heard she tried reconnecting with a few old friends. Coffee invitations. Casual check-ins. No one accepted. Not out of cruelty. Out of discomfort. She reminded them of a storm they didn't want to revisit. Jenna mentioned she took a leave from work. Said it was for mental health. But we both knew better. You don't retreat for healing when you've never taken accountability. You retreat because the mask slipped, and no one applauded what was underneath. She sold the apartment. The same one she once curated like a museum. Every corner carefully designed for compliments. Now, it was just empty space with stained echoes. I didn't attend the final sale. Didn't ask where she went. It didn't matter. What mattered was the vacuum she left behind. Not in me. In herself. You see, the worst punishment for people like her isn't abandonment. It's self-awareness. The slow, creeping realization that their power was never theirs. It was borrowed. Maintained by the belief that no one would walk away. And when someone finally does, they collapse inward. No explosions. No fire. Just gravity doing its work. She tried dating again. That much I heard in passing. But something had changed. The spark she relied on, the persona, it didn't translate anymore. Because the truth had rewired her presence. People could sense the fracture beneath her smile. Not visibly. Intuitively. They moved on before anything started. And each time it happened, she retreated further. Back into the shadows of who she used to be. She wasn't punished. She wasn't shamed. She was forgotten. And that was the deepest cut. Not silence. Not distance. Obsolescence. The last time I saw her was by accident. Grocery store. Early evening. Low light. Half-empty aisles. She looked thinner. Not in the way people compliment. In the way people whisper about. She didn't see me right away. She was holding a jar of pasta sauce. Reading the label like it mattered. Like anything could be decided in that moment. When her eyes finally met mine, she froze. Not with guilt. With recognition. The kind that says, I remember who you were. And I remember what I did to him. I didn't break eye contact. But I didn't smile either. She opened her mouth. Then closed it. Took a small breath like she wanted to say something. I waited. Not for the apology. For the silence after. She took a step forward. Stopped. Looked down at the jar in her hands. And walked away. No words. Because there were none left. I finished my shopping. Paid in cash. Drove home with the windows down. Cold air. Empty road. Peace. Not revenge, just stillness. The kind you earn. Later that night, I sat by the window, lights off, watching the world hum quietly outside. I thought about everything I'd lost. Then I thought about everything I'd reclaimed. Self-respect, clarity, control, not over others, but over myself. She didn't ruin me. She revealed me. The man I became after her wasn't colder. He was clearer, more precise. Untouchable not because he built walls, but because he removed access. That's the real transformation. Not loud, not dramatic, just irreversible. She still exists somewhere. Maybe searching for what she used to get for free, attention, forgiveness, softness. But she'll never get them from me. Not because I'm cruel, because I'm done. And that's a line no apology can cross. People ask me if I ever miss her. I don't. Because you can't miss what was never really there. You can only mourn the version of yourself that believed in it. And I buried him a long time ago. So no, I didn't disappear. I just stopped showing up. Where I wasn't respected. What would you have done in my place? If the story hit you, leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe. It only gets stronger from here.